This video is dedicated to dyeing your hair black, and I'm going to give you some extra tips on getting that blue-black tone naturally with henna and indigo. Because I know we've talked about it a lot. A lot of you had questions, and I don't believe I have a really good video giving you the details of all the steps and exactly how you can make your hair a rich, beautiful black and troubleshoot some areas where you guys get kind of stuck. But I'm here to say, don't quit, don't give up. Give it a shot, and it might even take 3 to 4 applications, but it's better than using chemicals. So my name is Khadija, and I'm a leading expert in henna natural hair color, Ayurvedic hair care specialist, and I do absolutely gorgeous henna and jago body art. So let's start with the basics. Like, you come on here and you have no clue what henna hair dye does. I'm gonna give you some more tips on how to mix it, what to look for. I'm gonna go like detail deep with you guys so that way you guys can get the best results possible. So some common questions are, okay, we know that there's henna involved and we know that there's indigo. Henna always stains red. Why am I using that with indigo? Can I just use indigo alone? If you're curious about that, I have a lot of other videos where I answer those questions, so you can definitely check those out. But it's so important to use the henna with the indigo. You hear about those green hair nightmares? Because of indigo, there is no way henna's making your hair green. Henna alone, pure natural henna, it makes your hair orangish, reddish, burgundy, kind of all those, you know, little variations of red ranges, right? And indigo controls that mix to get it to black, you know. So you're using henna and indigo at full strength, 2 steps. So yes, it's a little bit more intensive. Don't be intimidated, because you got this, because the results are gonna be gorgeous. So you're gonna be using henna first, and you're gonna be using indigo second. That means 2 coloring treatments. Yes, let me repeat that again, because a lot of people ask this question. You're doing henna first. You are coloring your hair reddish. Yes, your hair will be that tone. So you're gonna be doing that. You're going to pre-wash, color your hair with henna, co-wash it out with our cleansing co-wash to restore the moisture. Then you're going to use the indigo after you've washed all that out with the co-wash. You can do the indigo right after or within 3 days. So you have that window. If you can do it all in one day, great. If you don't have time, you can wait till the next day, you know, but don't wait longer than 3 days. So indigo in the second step, applying it, leaving it in your hair, all henna and all indigo and all herbal hair coloring treatments should be left in your hair for 3 to 4 hours. Anything that says that is shorter, maybe it's chemicals or maybe there's something else going on in that mix. And the only natural reason to like leave it in your hair less amount of time is for those who are not aiming for black. So they don't apply to this video though. We're not talking about them. People who want to leave it in a short period of time, they don't want max color results. They want it to be lighter, you know, just getting a little bit of darkness real quick, you know. So there are exceptions to that. But we're talking about black hair and even up to a gorgeous blue-black tone. You know when your hair is black and has that blue sheen, it's so like, you're like, ooh, yeah, like that. That's what I'm talking about. There is another way to do a 2-step process. There is another way. This is for those who have stubborn hair and grays. You gotta up that indigo. You can't leave that henna sitting all by itself in the first step. You gotta do at least equal parts of henna and indigo in your first hair dyeing process. So that first coloring treatment, henna and indigo, 50-50. Again, you're gonna wash your hair, you're gonna do the color, and then you're going to, from there, use a cleansing co-wash to wash everything out, and then follow up with indigo alone. That is a great recipe and really good steps for stubborn gray hair, or stubborn hair that just doesn't want to take color in general. And this is the path to achieving blue-black tones in your hair. So this is what you guys need to be doing, and I'm going to show you exactly how to mix it, how to let it sit for dye release. Another common question people ask is, do you apply henna first and then indigo, and then doesn't that give you a brown tone? So no. So don't get mixed up, don't get confused. A brown recipe is completely different than this black hair recipe that we're doing. So using henna in the first step and then following with a second dyeing coloring treatment with indigo alone gets you black. Okay, we're talking about the two-step process. For those of you who are visual, I'm going to be using Moroccan henna powder. And why Moroccan henna powder? I find that this particular henna powder blends well when it's coming to like make dark brown and black tones. Like if you don't want to see a pop of red really, like this works really well. The only other exception is our red Raj henna powder is really good for stubborn hair. So that's an exception. Those are the two go-tos that I would choose primarily and recommend. So let me show you how I'm going to mix the Moroccan henna, and it has a fast dye release, so you're not going to be letting this bad boy sit overnight. Absolutely not. And if you're wondering how much to use, because I'm just focusing on getting your color right, but I have great articles on how much you need to use. You can definitely look for them right on the how-to page that we have at hennasooq.com. We have a whole guide on how much you need to use. So once I add in my henna powder, I'm going to be adding a small amount of our aloe vera powder. Yep, small amount of the aloe vera powder. That is going to be your moisturizing ingredient, and I'm adding about a teaspoon. A little goes a long way. And then I'm going to blend these up together because I want my aloe to be all up in my henna to be fully moisturizing. So add in your liquid and just keep mixing. As you notice, and you probably have realized, I don't put a lot of measurements because every henna powder, every herb absorbs liquid differently. So if I tell you one measurement of liquid, it all can slightly vary. What I want you guys to learn is I want you to learn about the consistency. And you know what, honestly, I keep it on the thick side in the beginning, especially because I'm going to be mixing, some indigo later on and probably combining it with the henna. So I keep it a little bit thick. You want all of the henna powder to be wet because you want to ensure that it's going to be getting some dye release. Moroccan henna in particular only needs to sit for an hour or two. Please do not leave it sit out longer than that. It is really unnecessary. We're gonna come back and I'm gonna show you what the dye release looks like. All right, so next up, we're gonna be mixing our indigo, letting that sit for dye release because the henna is gonna be ready really soon. So indigo, this is what's gonna make your hair black. And then with your indigo, you can add a little bit of aloe vera powder as well. About a teaspoon, really, a little goes a long way. And then, like baking, mix all your dry ingredients together. Mix that really well, blend it up. And see, indigo is a little floaty. Yes, if you can see my fingers, floaty. It's floaty. It doesn't really absorb into the water right away. All herbs are quite unique and different. And you just mix it. You're gonna have to give it time to start absorbing. Once it starts absorbing into the water rather than floating on top of it like it is now, you'll start to trigger that dye release. And again, if you don't really like the scent, you can add a little bit of essential oils, literally just a couple of drops. You don't need a whole lot. That's something else that goes a long way because it's quite concentrated. You can find all of our hair essential oils right on our website. And you want to make sure to mix this up really well. Don't make it too thin. If it gets too thin, if your henna or your indigo gets too thin, just add a little bit more powder. So it's always good to have extra henna and indigo on hand in case you do mix it too thin. It's not like dye like a chemical dye where it's really running. You see how thick this is? It's thick. Like, it barely comes off the spoon. I want it to be thick on purpose in this particular step because in this particular step, I'm mixing this so I can add it to my henna. So your indigo is gonna sit, look at that. Ooh, look at all that good. It's gonna sit though for that dye release for 20 to 30 minutes. I'm gonna come back and show you what it looks like. Now that we are going for that black tone, let me show you what the dye release should look like. So henna is a little tricky to see, you know, like you have to look really close. But do you see that one spot that looks a little bit lighter? That's the dye release being achieved. You gotta have a good eye for it, but if you look closely, you'll see that it's a bit lighter green. You know, the light and the camera doesn't always do it justice. I see it, but oftentimes people do say, oh, I didn't see it. I don't know if it had dye release, but trust the henna. It really does have dye release in 1 to 2 hours. You can see even a little bit underneath. See, look at all that. Look how light it is. That's dye release. Let me show you the indigo. Ooh, wow. This is what your indigo should look like. And when I lift the spoon up, look at that green spot. That means dye release has been achieved. And you see how thick it is? Look, it's thick. I mix it up super thick on purpose. So note that I am mixing up very thick, not thin. And it's for a reason. I don't want my recipe to be too thin because I don't want you guys to use a thinned out henna and indigo recipe. Coloring, you know, your hair with a thin mixture is not gonna get you the color results you want. It has to be paste-like. It's really important. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my henna here and I'm gonna start scooping out my indigo. I'm gonna add it to my henna. And I do this way all the time. So we got henna and indigo. This is our one-step process. This is also what we consider a brown recipe. This is perfect in the 2-step process for stubborn hair, stubborn grays, and especially this should be used by people who want to get a blue-black tone and they're building up to that particular tone. So I'm gonna mix these all together. They're, again, like I said, really thick. It's now like this dark kind of green. This is actually pretty thick, but a bit too thick for your hair. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna thin it out with some more water. And it doesn't have to be warm to hot. It's probably room temperature at this point. I've just left it on the side. And I add in a little bit at a time. And then I'm gonna mix. And let's see the texture. I like to see, all right, like see and feel, to be honest. Just like to feel what it's like. Does it slide off the spoon? Is it still thick? It's not too thin. Kind of like full fat yogurt, you know? Or if you were gonna make really fluffy pancakes. Now, if you don't like the scent, as I mentioned, you can add some essential oils. So let me add those now. I'm gonna be adding in our sweet orange essential oil. I love that one, it smells so good. And it's about 100 grams of paste right now. So you only need a small amount, like 4 to 5 drops. Ooh, there we go. And then I'm gonna mix that again really well to blend it all together. And man, it is already smelling amazing, and it's gonna smell amazing in your hair. So perfect, that's ready to use. Now I got some application tips for you. First of all, I have this great video on how to apply henna and indigo that I really want you guys to watch. But in the meantime, commonly asked questions. How do we apply it? Pre-wash your hair. Ideally, if you can clarify, use your soap nut hair wash or your shampoo bar, that's gonna open up your hair to receive the color better. Once your hair is damp or, slightly damp, not dripping wet, just slightly damp, then you will part your hair into 4 sections. You're gonna go literally down the middle, part there, and then down the middle here. Again, you're gonna have 4 sections in your hair. And then you can clip and tie it, and work on 1 section at a time. Ideally, start at the front, where most of the stubborn spots are that you can see with your eyes. You want to start at the front and move towards the back. Another common question people want to know is are there any tips for beginners? So my beginners out there, as you're applying, make sure that it feels kind of cool on the scalp. Yes, the color should be touching your scalp. What I want you to do, again, give it a good massage. Like literally, you want to feel all over, make sure it's gotten to your scalp, it's gotten all over. A lot of the times, people that don't get good color also are not using enough product. If you skimp out, you're not gonna have enough, to really saturate hair. First of all, hair sometimes wants to pop out of the dye. I know some of you experience that. Like it's sticking out, it wants to like escape, run away. I don't know what it's doing its own thing, but it literally is just like so annoying because those little hairs, the edges, you know, even if a guy is doing his beard, it just is like, when you're dyeing your beard and dyeing short hair, it's unruly. It just wants to be its own, it wants to be free. It wants to have freedom. So you really gotta like make sure you're using enough product to saturate, like you wanna drown your hair basically, you know, in a nice way. And then you wanna go over the edges, meaning like you should have some left in your bowl, I hope. Put more paste on those edges at the very end, then wrap up your hair. Then you wanna leave it in at least 3 to 4 hours. Yes, 3 to 4 hours. Go read a book. Go what? Go watch Netflix. Go do some chores around the house. If you have a heater or a steamer, you can use that as well. A lot of times that helps stubborn hairs. From there, you can wash it all out. You know, I would recommend a few rinsing a little bit and have a very good strong shower head or soak it in a tub or the bath to loosen up your hair. You don't wanna over manipulate your hair to make it like tangled. You want to avoid that. Please don't over manipulate your hair. The tangles, we don't want that. We don't want breakage. This is not our goal at all. And use our cleansing co-wash, you know, to restore the moisture back, to get everything out. And it's color safe, so it's perfect for you to use. And then again, that strong shower head, I mean, everyone really should have one because you need that pressure. Just think about in the salon when you're getting your hair washed, you know, that pressure really helps a lot. Like it's going to beat the henna out of your hair in a nice way. So after you've washed everything out, if you did 100% pure henna, then your head is probably gonna be pretty, you know, reddish brown, maybe bright orange, even if you have a lot of grays. Don't be shocked, don't be scared, don't hate me. Henna in general also takes 1 or 2 days to settle, so don't be too shocked. It's gonna settle itself out too, but we're following with indigo, so really at the end of the day, this part doesn't really matter. I mean, the only thing that matters is if you're not able to have time to do your indigo right away, but if you could get a hair wrap and you can go out about your business, something really cute, put a hat on, you can do something if you haven't had time to do the indigo. So that's what your hair should be like. If you did the 50-50, when you did the henna and the indigo in the first step for stubborn hair, for that blue-black tone, if either one of those things apply and you did that, then your hair is probably more so going to be brown. You're going to notice that it's a brown recipe. It's not going to be as bright as if you did henna alone. So that's what your expectations should be. Now for black tones, I want you to go to these next steps with the indigo. When mixing up your indigo, you are going to pour it first into the bowl. Then we're going to be adding in some of the aloe vera powder because we don't want it to be drying. You add that to your indigo, and then you're going to be mixing this up really well. Blend that together, and then you add your warm to hot distilled water. Indigo kind of floats, so you kind of give it some time to like dissolve into the water. Make sure you mix it really, really well. And then let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes. In your second step, you have mixed up your indigo again. Look, that dye release, boom, it is looking good, looking amazing. This is the way you want it. It's a little bit thick. You know, this is just a bit too thick. You definitely want to add a little bit more liquid, just a little at a time. Yeah, you definitely don't want it to be too runny. So you mix in a little liquid. That's gonna be my, my room temperature distilled water at this point. Definitely don't add hot water. At this point, once it has dye release, it doesn't need more hot liquid at all, and you don't ever want to use boiling liquid at all. So this is a pretty good consistency. Again, you don't want it to be runny. Indigo alone is not as smooth and creamy as when the henna's mixed with it. So just note that it's a little different to apply in a way because it's, doesn't have that creamy smoothness, like stick to your hair type of vibe. And then when you do apply it all over your hair by the sections, starting at the front, working towards the back, make sure that you're leaving it in at least 3 to 4 hours. Unless you have heat or steam, you can cut that time in half. And ideally, you're going to be doing the second step either right after you've colored your hair in that first step, or if you don't have time, well, first of all, don't mix it if you don't have time, because this is ready in 20 to 30 minutes and you don't want it to sit out and lose its potency. So don't mix it ahead of time. And again, don't wait longer than 3 days. You don't want new growth coming in. You want to get the best color results. If there's new growth coming in that doesn't have henna in its base, then it's not going to give you the color you want again. So either same day or the next day ideally works the best, is the most popular choices. And then from there, use your cleansing co-wash to wash everything out, and then you can moisturize, dry, and style your hair as usual. Now, when it comes to applying your indigo, it's going to be the same thing that you did in the first step. And you're going to leave indigo in for at least 3 to 4 hours. It's the same. All henna hair coloring processes, whatever color you're going for with herbs, typically you have to leave it in 3 to 4 hours. If you leave it in less, you're not going to get the color results you want. How do you achieve that full blue-black color, the one that you've been seeking, that you want to get with no chemicals? Well, keep on repeating, literally keep on repeating the henna and indigo steps, first step, and then the indigo as the second step, consistently. It doesn't mean you're going to do it every week. No, guys, do not color your hair every week. No, don't do that, okay? Consistently means every 4 to 6 weeks. Keep coloring your hair. After about 3 to 4, maybe 5 applications, because you've got to let the color build up. It has to build up to that blue blood tone. It just doesn't happen. This is not dyes, it's not chemicals. You guys have to be patient with this, especially if you're trying to achieve something with plant-based dyes. It's just herbs, this plants. So sometimes you gotta, give it a little bit of, time and a little bit of, soaking even into your hair and letting it really dye. That's what they do in Morocco. When I was there and I saw the vats of dye, that's what they were literally doing, soaking like leather in dyes and henna. They just don't put it in there and boom, it's like, it doesn't work like that. Natural dyes take time. So be patient with it, and you'll get that beautiful blue-black tone. And again, be patient, be patient, and you will get the color you want, and your hair will be so healthy. It's gonna thank you, because using chemicals is not better than henna and indigo and natural coloring, of your, the herbs, and just making your hair look so gorgeous. And just all these treatments are so much better for you. So, if we've learned anything since COVID, is we should have learned this, that we really need to take care of ourselves, and we need to be also more proactive in being aware what's going into our body. It may not be affecting us now sometimes, but down the road, the long-term effects are for real, So that's what I love, what I do here at Hennasooq, So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this video. If I missed anything at all, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. And if you have a pressing question that you want to get answered right away, head to our website, hennasooq.com, and then just hit the live chat feature, and then you can reach one of our experts, and we will definitely be more than happy to help you with your hair care journey. And also anything about henna and jago body art, for sure, we got you covered. I want to know how your results were, and if you also have any tips to share with us, again, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my great content. If you have requests too, video requests, post them in the comments below. All right, love you guys. Bye.